Hi everyone, welcome. Today's video is going to be a story time on my journey and how I got saved. Let's get to it. I've always been going to church, different doctrines. When my mum was still around, we used to go to church every Sunday without fail. But I just never had a relationship with God. My mum was a type of person, we knew Psalm 23 in the back of our hands. Before we go to school, we would have to pray with her. So I got that concept of it. I got the concept of when you're down, you pray to God because that's the only person that can help you in that situation. But I never had the relationship with him because I knew how to play church so well. I knew how to go to church, and then outside of church I'll live a completely different life that was contradicting the life that I should have been living. So as time went on, I kept on going to church. I'd go to church. I remember it was every Tuesday, Wednesday, some Fridays, some Saturdays, depending, and every Sunday, 2 services. Church for me was just like going to work. It was a shift. So anyway, fast forwarding, going to uni now, and I remember my auntie just saying, whatever you do, just make sure you find a church. So I was just like, yeah. Like, church for me was just going on YouTube and checking sermons to get motivated, or to listen to something to encourage me, but I never used to like pray. So in 3rd year now, finally made it. It was like, okay, cool, let's do this. And I wanted my 3rd year to be different. I was very isolated in my 1st and 2nd year. Like, I would go to other unis, but I wouldn't really integrate myself in the uni that I was in. So I was like, I joined the ACS, and I was actually I was the one who was like presenting the shows and the games and stuff. We had a friend, and I'd known him through passing, and we had mutual friends, and me and him used to host the games and the shows. So he was playing, and he must have won a date with one of the girls, and he was just like, oh, I'm going to take you to church. And then we were just all like, oh, you might as well come. I honestly, to the life of me, I don't know how it happened, but it happened. And obviously it was Valentine's period, so we all went out, we all got drunk and whatever. And then I remember on the Sunday I was like, oh, we've got church. Like, we said to this guy we were going to go to the church. So we got ready. Thankfully the church started at 1. We got ready and we came in. Now this church was small, and I was just like, yo, okay, let's see what's going on. It was called Boys to Men. That's one thing that intrigued me, because I was like, wow, these sermons have like really distinctive names. Like, okay, I'm listening. And then he was speaking to my life, because I was in a situation where I was going around like this. I didn't know what I wanted to do with myself, what the future had in store for me. I didn't know what I wanted to do after uni. I was really lost. So he was just preaching, and in church they do something called the altar call, which is basically like, you know, if you were to die today, which is very possible, where would you go? Me, that I was, you know what I mean, the night before, and I was getting drunk, and just, would I make it? So I went out to the front, and that's when you make the first step of being saved, when you confess and you're like, God, I'm not living right, and you get convicted. So I went out to the front, and that was my journey. Just because I went out to the front does not mean that my life was, no, because I realised not long after, I was living a life for a good 20 odd years that was not going to change by my pastor singing Boys to Men. Do you know what I mean? And I know people are always just like, oh, why can't you drink, or why can't you have sex, or why can't I go out and enjoy my life and live my best life? But I feel like it got to a point where conviction hit me. I couldn't be of this world. John 15:19. For me, it was just like, why am I gonna intoxicate myself and change who I am, and change, because I'm not myself when I'm drunk or when I'm high. I'm a completely different person. So that's when those little convictions started coming in, and I realized that there was more deep-rooted issues as well that I had in my, so I had to change, and it took time, because in your life, when you decide to come to church or whatever it is, there's people involved, and sometimes you have to cut those people off, and sometimes you have to get over things, and all of that takes time. But in the process, God never left me. Even when I'll go to church and then I'll come back home and do something that I know I shouldn't be doing, or engaging in something that I shouldn't be engaging in, I'd always backslide all the time. But that's when the grace of God comes in. God's grace is so big than my sinful spirit, because over and over again I've been to church and I've been listening to the words and I knew about the words, but I kept on cheating on God. It took time for me to be like, Itunu, who are you? What does God say you are? Like, what are you? What is your purpose? It took time, but I would never ever take back the process, because the process is what built me, and I'm not even there yet. I wouldn't take the process away. Like all the heartaches, all the crying, all the being angry at God. Sometimes I'll be like, I don't even want to come to church anymore. I want to stay at home. Just being within the church and being around people, and people who like were there with you from the beginning, and having your pastor with you, and having someone that you can just speak to about your issues and what you're dealing with and why you're dealing with it. Perfect. But God's with me, and God's love for me is enough for me. And just reading the Bible and knowing what the Bible just says, and His love and all of that, it's just, I'm so content with where I am, that I can see like my friends from like the past, and I just feel like I don't even want that lifestyle anymore. How about we go and fellowship? How about we go outside and we evangelize to someone and make them know about God? I just felt like I needed to share that story and just really encourage you guys that God hasn't forgotten about you. He wants you, and we are all broken in many ways, but we shouldn't be prideful, and we should just literally just surrender to Him, because He's been waiting, and all you have to do is just speak to Him. I just hope this encouraged everyone, and I'll see you again in the next video. Bye.